Welcome to the 2020 Candidates Forum for Chandlers Landing Homeowners Association. I think everybody here probably knows me. For those of you on Zoom, I'm Chip Emery. I'm the Vice President of the Board. I'm going to moderate the session tonight. We have a couple of house rules for the folks here at the landing, and again, we felt it best to move this inside because of potential inclement weather as we can see moving in. I also just want to thank the Rockwall Fire Department for giving us a little bit of flexibility to have this inside tonight. A couple of ground rules. You'll see that things are taped off. This is an active construction site. Please don't go anywhere that's taped off. The door's open really to get air moving through. There's no deck outside anymore, so don't walk over there. We have emergency exit through the main door and then through the door in the bar in case we had any issue that we need to get out of here. If you are standing, please don't lean on the new windows because they're not, they're in there, but they're not in there totally secured yet. So we wouldn't want you to take a dive out either side. Tonight we're going to hear 5 presentations. We're going to hear from Bruce Paton, who is a current board member who's up for re-election. Bruce has been steadfastly quarantining from home. He's been very active in a great way for the board. You'll hear from him tonight. Unfortunately, we're having some technical issues, and so he'll speak to you and give you his presentation. We also have Karen Owens, we have Cameron Morrison, we have Kenyon Walter, and we have Mark Stuertz. So with that, the format tonight will be each of them will be able to come up and give about a no more than a 5-minute presentation on their whatever, I guess really what they want to talk about, what their background is, and how they feel they can help the Homeowners Association board. Then we'll have a format of question and answer. Typically, we like to keep that to about 3 minutes per question. So in order to do that, generally the questions are geared towards, we like to do a round of questions for those questions that are really geared towards all the candidates. After we're through with that, we'll open up for questions to individual candidates. You may have some specific questions there. Again, I think the mic, there's a mic up there for those of you in the room that want to ask questions. I think the rule is we're not touching the mic. And then for those that are on Zoom, to keep this efficient, we don't really have an internet connection in here. If you'll text your questions to Lee Northcutt at 469-767-4080. Again, 469-767-4080. And then Lee will take the lead in getting the questions back to us. So with that, Kenyon, we drew cards at random here to see the order that we're going to go in. So Kenyon is up first. So Kenyon, I'll turn it over to you. And
Appreciate it, Tim. Hi. My name's Kenyon Walter. I live at 608 Beverage Court. I've been a Rockwall resident since 1972. I'm married, 3 children, 3 grandchildren. I've been a Chandlers resident for 25 years. I'm a graduate of Baylor College of Dentistry. I own my own dental practice in Rockwall from 1995 to 2015. Currently, I'm the owner of Pure Sun Commercial Properties, which house Arboletas, Alejandro's, and Thirsty Road Brewery. Association and committees I've been a part of. I was a part of Rotary Club for 17 years in Rockwall, Rockwall Rotary Scholarship Committee for 6 years, Rockwall County Dental Society for 20 years, Rockwall Open Space Committee from 2015 to the present. I'm part of the Rockwall Art League and Lake Point Church Food Pantry. I've been a volunteer there for 5 years. My mission statement follows. This community is near and dear to my heart, as my family lived here in the 80s. We sailed, swam, and played tennis. It's such a wonderful community. My son grew up here, and he also did swim, sail, and tennis. Decades of experience running a successful business in Rockwall provided me the expertise and knowledge of current marketing trends in our area. This may benefit the Yacht Club, as I advertised in Rockwall for 25 years, bringing many people to my practice. As a commercial property owner for 17 years, my buildings house restaurants, and this experience I can bring insight to the team in regards to problem-solving issues. My platform can be formed by 4 points. 1, the Yacht Club to reopen quickly and become solvent and successful, restoring a lucrative financial pathway for future generations. 2, addressing infrastructure needs is a must. I know our street signage is in the works. We have some landscape issues that we're working on, and updating streets is definitely a priority for me. 3, I can bring transparent leadership, trendy state-of-the-art ideas, and friendly support of all your ideas and questions. 4, I will continue to try to create an active community lifestyle for all residents to enjoy, singles, parents, grandparents, and children. Please place your vote for me, and I appreciate you listening to me today.
Yes, we have the sound.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Yes. I am Mark Stuertz. I live at 5104 Yacht Club Drive. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, and via St. Louis, Missouri, and Kansas City, Missouri, I made my way to Northern California, where I lived for 8 years. I've been in North Texas for the last 25 years. And though I've lived in Chandlers Landing for only 3 years, I immediately embraced this dynamic and unique community. I'm an active participant on the communications and the ponds committees, and I believe this board, and significantly the late Scott Self, has done a lot to move this community forward to put us on a positive footing for the future. I believe that I can contribute energy and talents to further this quest. I have extensive association experience working with board members and association membership. I was part of the management team of the Wine Institute, the Association of California Wineries, and the largest organization of its kind in the United States. Our mission was to meet with wine grower members and craft industry positions that form the basis of our interactions for U.S. congressional leaders, executive branch administration officials, and the legislatures in all 50 states. I also have extensive food service experience. I worked as a restaurant trade industry journalist in San Francisco and as an investigative reporter and restaurant critic for the Dallas Observer. I believe this know-how will help propel the Yacht Club to a resounding success. I've always been active in the neighborhoods in which I've lived. And given the current climate of chaos in communities across the United States, I believe one of the key issues in the future will be security. In Dallas, I was a member of the University Meadows Homeowners Association security team, serving as a Dallas Police Department volunteer. In my younger years, I also worked as a security guard for our county hospital in a Northern California crack neighborhood. So I have extensive experience working with high-pressure security situations. I currently own and operate my own communications company, serving primarily food service and technology companies. I have also written several books, including Secret Dallas, which was published in 2018, and more recently, in June of this year, Dream Makers, which I composed with former Tampa Bay Devil Rays relief pitcher Jim Morris, whose life was showcased in the Disney movie The Rookie, starring Dennis Quaid. In short, I believe that my experience and energy will go a long way toward moving this community forward, shaping and driving our vision for the future. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Cameron Morrison. I've never been up here and not karaoke, so it's a little different. I live at 208 Harbor Landing and lived there for the last 2 years. We purchased a house there, me and my wife, Danielle, and our 3-year-old daughter now purchased a house. We renovated it for over the course of 7 or 8 months, and we're pretty proud of it now, and we love our house and love this neighborhood. I graduated from Rockwall High School in 2002 and did high school all through Rockwall, and I hold Rockwall near and dear to my heart. In the mid-90s, my parents, they joined the Yacht Tennis Club here, and they were active members in the tennis, and then they brought me to tennis, and we did that before we even lived here. And just the people here and as welcome as everybody made you feel, made my parents want to buy a house here. So they purchased a house here in the mid-90s, and that enabled me to go to school in Rockwall. And in 2008, I bought a house in Chandlers. It was one of my first houses I purchased. This is where I met my wife. And the neighborhood's just been great. It's been a real blessing. It feels it feels it's home for me, and it's been home. And I'm really looking forward to. I'm excited to be able to run for the board now at this point in my life. I own complete fire protection. We're a fire sprinkler company. We employ somewhere, I think, 35, 40 employees. Also, that company I acquired about 8 years ago, and have grown it year after year and made it successful and made it profitable and expanded it year after year. And I plan on taking that knowledge that I've acquired running my own business and bringing it here to a community that could use it. One of the things that I'd like to focus on is not going up on our dues. I know the dues, they've gone up and they continue to go up. And I feel like, there's things that we can do to make the dues that we all pay right now work and fund the landing, repair the streets. About 2 years ago, I started another business that employs about 15 people called Morrison Utility Contractors. So we do underground work. We run water lines, sewer lines. We're doing the Rockwall County Jail. We have TL Townsend, the road torn up right now, and we're about to start putting it back. I know how roads go back. I know how concrete's poured, and I know the way that it's supposed to look. And a lot of the roads that are being put back through Chandlers, they're not acceptable. We did Dallas Country Club where Jerry Jones is a member. Dallas Country Club costs you $250,000 a year to be a member there. That's your first initiation fee. You have to have multiple bank references. We did the underground utilities for the expansion to the Dallas Country Club. And the way that the roads are pulled up and put back there, they're the highest of quality. And I see some of the work that's being done here, and it's not. And I'd like to bring my expertise and my experience to these roads, to the community, to the infrastructure here, and just build on it. Chandlers has always had a great reputation. it's always been one of the most sought after communities to live in Rockwall. And, you know, I'm gonna do my best with what I know how to do to continue that trend that we've had and build on it and become even better. So I'm asking for you, y'all guys vote for me so I can help make this, and let it continue to be a great community. Thank you.
I think the
Bruce, can you
audio
guys-
is out, Evan.
Try that. Hey, Bruce.
Yes.
Okay. You can go ahead and go whenever you're ready.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, I'm Bruce Paton, and I want to begin by acknowledging the 4 people who overcame the complexity of club reconstruction, COVID, and weather to make this event happen tonight. And that would be Evan, Chip, T, and Chuck. Big thanks, folks. And thanks as well to all of you who are attending in person or by Zoom, my fellow candidates. We appreciate your participation. So my goal for the next 5 minutes is to provide you with some information concerning what the board has been up to, and even more important, what the vision is for the future and what it means to our community. When I last ran for the board in September of 2017, I had a slogan, Step Up for Chandlers. I used STEP, 4 letters in STEP, to lay out a 4-point approach as to what I would contribute as a board member. The slogan is equally useful in 2020, only the content has changed. So let's look at STEP. The S stands for stability. I've served 10 years on 10 boards in the past 18 years, and this is the most cohesive, experienced, supportive, cooperative board of the bunch. Not only do we work well together, but we've committed to serve until our vision is achieved, depending on, of course, on the communities being willing to re-elect us. The T stands for transparency. So let's take a look at our vision. We want a first-class community, including a first-class and well-run club. We want great seasonal landscaping, roads kept in good repair, railroad timber walls replaced by keystone block walls, every lot and yard maintained at a high level, quiet places to pause throughout the community and enjoy our acres of green space, a club with a variety of activities, meals, and refreshments that an increasing percentage of our community can enjoy. The club is being made like new as we speak and will be open mid to late October. We not only have professional reconstruction moving towards completion, we have professional management ready to propel us towards our vision. Kemper, our management team, ran a survey of our residents many months back. The dissatisfaction with our club experience was a significant minus. While we will resume operation as an open to the broader community experience, we expect to create a demand that will enable us to go semi-private within 3 years. We expect to become a premier venue for special events with income able to handle the expenses of running club operations and taking pressure off assessment increases to maintain our club experience. So what does this mean to members of our Chandlers community? Assessment increases are expected to ratchet down as we get our events calendar established in the years ahead. Property values are expected to increase at a rate above the broader Rockwall community. In fact, this may be already occurring, even though the club has been down the last 11 months. For example, in July, the average sales price for a single-family home in Rockwall was $330,000. The average increase in value year over year compared to July of 2019 was 6.8%. So if you happen to own a typical home in Chandlers, let's say you own a home that's $330,000 in value, your value probably increased somewhere around $22,000. At a 10% increase, your 2020 assessment increased about $167. So housing values way up, dues up a little bit. Increased property values are an important component of our vision. The E stands for enforcement. Compliance with our regulations provides predictability and harmony in our community, not to mention its contribution to increasing home values. I assumed responsibility for our compliance team in September of 2017, and we've done at least 24 compliance tours per year, a total of more than 70. As a result, violations are down more than 50% compared to 3 years ago. The P in STEP stands for progress. We've touched on much of the progress already achieved. A brand new club will open in the next 2 months. Home values have increased substantially. A swim season is drawing to a successful conclusion despite COVID complications. Railroad timber walls are being replaced by keystone block walls in and around the club. Professional club management, which was initially approved in December of 2017, has become a reality in the past year. Special events like concerts and fireworks have occurred more often than ever before. The disruption of short-term rentals has been eliminated. The compliance process has been streamlined to result in faster corrections when they're required. And finally, our long-term difficulty with delayed construction of new homes has been alleviated with the demolition of one property and the probable completion of a second, one on which we collected nearly $22,000 in fines and legal fees last Friday to permit the owner to avoid foreclosure. Both of these homes were in their 4th year of construction. So in conclusion, I urge you to vote to keep our board team together this year and in future years. I offer you 10 years of board experience, 6 as president, 40 years of high-level corporate experience with two great Fortune 35 companies, PepsiCo and Procter & Gamble, and the experience, dedication, time, and energy to deliver the vision I've described for you tonight. For anyone concerned about my age or my health, thank you. And I invite you to join me sometime on my early morning daily 4-mile runs. So thank you for your thoughtful consideration in our 2020 election.
Hi, I'm Karen Owens. I live at 323 Valiant and have been here 5 years. My husband and Mike and I moved in. I'm a native Dallasite, born and raised, and used to go with my dad and my brothers over here on Lake Ray Hubbard before it was actually a lake, when we would go out hunting and just shooting guns and stuff. And so this part of the area has always been important to me. Just to let you know, as soon as we moved in, 2 months after we moved in, we joined the events committee to start participating, because I believe that The only way to make a community is to be involved in your community. So we participated on the events committee for 3 years. After that, I started a needed area of our community that was kind of left out was our kids. They weren't having enough things to do. So I started the Chandlers Kids Krew. And with the Kids Krew, we brought in Trunk or Treat. The first year we had over 500 kids participating in Trunk or Treat. That wasn't to cut off going to the houses, but it was to give the kids an ability to come to places that they didn't go to when the streets are too high or when going up to the houses were too much for the little kids. We did Valentine cards for the nursing home and took them over there and gave them to the residents of Broadmoor Nursing Home. We did breakfast with Santa. We've done Kid Fish with the Ponds Committee. We've worked on a lot of different abilities and things for kids to not only have fun, but also to have a social type of community involvement. This year we're planning to do Build a Boat. We're building a boat to put here at the club so that the kids can fill the boat with food, canned goods, and things that are needed desperately right now during COVID. I've also been a member of the Chandlers Welcome Committee. I'm a member of Chandlers Cares. I have done numerous things to volunteer here at Chandlers and participated. My professional qualifications, I worked for one of the largest home and property management law firms in Dallas, DeBusk and DeBusk. I was their legal analyst and handled their employees and their contracts, dealt with any kind of legal issues that would come up, and handled all of those things. So I know about the HOA laws, I know about the Chandler's Declaration, and I know about the bylaws here at Chandler's. I've been very familiar with that and answered questions for several people throughout the years that we've been here on those particular things. The other thing is, I worked 20 years as a principal and an administrator for Dallas Public Schools. And as that, I was appointed to the National Education Agency in Washington to deal with all the legal issues that deal with schools, all the crime, the drugs, and everything else. That's why children are so important to me, and the way that we bring our kids up, because it's important that we give them the best foundation that we can. And Chandler's is so unique that we are all together and we have so many amenities that there's no way that we need to neglect their social conscience and also give them a great childhood and a good place to grow up. So I think that is a big part. I'm also an active member of Phi Alpha Delta International Law Fraternity. I have several degrees, including a PhD in Urban and Public Affairs. So education is very important to me. I've also volunteered that if anybody is still homeschooling their kids here in Chandler's, or somebody is not sending their kids back to school yet, they can call on me. I have a group of people that are ex-teachers that are willing to help, because let's face it, if you are not a teacher and somebody sends your kid home with homework, sometimes you just don't the teacher's been teaching a certain way and it's not the way you teach or the way you learn. And so it causes nothing but chaos. The other thing that I want to make sure is 3 things here in Chandler's are important to me. I want to run because of you. I know what it's like to not have a voice. I've seen it in the school districts. I've seen it in the law. I want to give the voice to the people here in Chandler's, and it doesn't matter who you are. Your voice is important and valid and needs to be brought to the board, whether or not people agree or disagree. We need to hear your words and what you're talking about. The next thing is I want to do it for the kids, obviously. I think that that is our future and that's our resource. And I'm very concerned about what's going on in the world right now with the kids, because they're the ones that are going to run the country in the future. So I want to make sure that we keep addressing those needs. And secondly, I'm concerned about Chandler's. I want to make sure that it stays the type of place that people want to go to and that people want to call home and people want to grow up to, like Cameron and Eva and many others that we have that have grown up here and then decided to move back. I want to make sure that we all have that same community and that same built-in need for our kids. And I want to make sure that we are physically responsible. I believe in taking care of issues. I believe in things that needed to be done. I, as a member of the superintendent's office in Dallas, rented this place right here 3 years in a row for my teachers for in-service before school started. So Chandlers has always been a special place to me, even though we didn't live here. I also want to make it perfectly clear that I know there's an issue about the jetty, with the jetty and the sand and all of that. I cannot promise, people have asked me about this, I cannot promise that I can do anything about it. But I do know the guy that is head of the marinas at Suntech, and I do know how to get a hold of the Dallas Water Department. My husband was 32 years there, and it's watershed management that does it. So hopefully I can talk to them, see if there is any resolution to this situation, so that we can have a better place for our kids when we can't take them to the pool. So all I'm gonna do is be honest. I'll give you the truth. Sometimes truth hurts, but I'll give it to you. And I'll be transparent. You can call, you can ask me anything that you want. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, candidates. Again, for those that are on Zoom, if you have any questions, text them to Lee at 469-767-4080. So we'll open it up for questions. You'll step up to the mic. We'll need I think everybody knows the drill. If you did live here, step up to the mic, state your name, your address. This is really intended to be for homeowners, property owners. If any of you are rent here or not a member in the sense of owning property, we just would ask that you wait till the end. We'll try to work those in. So go ahead and you can want to step up, sir.
There are letters available if anybody wants one.
Hello, my name is Mike Van Hooser, to Intrepid. Been a property owner here for 25 years and residents for 20. What I want to put forth to the candidates and any member of the board is, what are you going to do to get us out of this boondoggle? This club, anybody who believes this can become a profitable venture is delusional. This will require, with the amount of indebtedness that we have now, over $5 billion, a profit that this club will have to clear of over $50,000 a month. That's not going to be possible. That's going to end up with our homeowners' dues being raised to $200 or $300 a month. What also are you going to do? And I don't care how it's done, but get rid of it. Anything up to and including the bankruptcy. What also can be done to prevent this type of disaster again from occurring? By any time there's going to be any amount of indebtedness of a significant amount, say $1 million or more, then there is written into the bylaws a vote taken and passed by a majority of homeowners approving or disapproving that. And also a way to put forth initiative and referendum where there's other problems that arise. Homeowners can bring it together, put up a petition, get an ample number of signatures, and then again, have it up for a vote, whether it goes forward or not. Thank you.
Who wants to go first?
Oh, sure. So don't take the chair with you. I actually disagree with you. I think that the club can be very lucrative, and I think weddings, dinners, and events can come to fruition. Owning my own business, I saw it skyrocket, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month in less than 3 years. So I think this can happen. I think the board is on a fantastic path,
And I'd love to be a part of the team to get it open, get it going, and bring it back to where it was several years ago when we could all come here.
Hi, Mike. I also disagree. When you look at this location, this is a jewel. And I think we have the opportunity to make this a positive community asset as well as a financial asset. I think over the years, it will generate considerable profits that can be used to enhance other amenities in the community. I just think this is the future. This is a future community asset, and it's also a future financial asset. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I agree with these two that the club can be a huge asset. It's already ours, we already own it. Yes, we have to pay for it. But the problem is this, and like I said, I believe in being fiscally responsible. I believe in making sure that what we do, that we're doing it with a cost-effective improvements. As far as your question about the legality and being able to vote on and have this, it has virtually been impossible for the board previous, and I know you can ask Russ Martin this, or you can ask Bruce or anybody else that's been on the board. It's virtually impossible to have the quota to change the bylaws here at Chandlers. They were written so that you have to have so many of all of the residents, and we have very few residents even that vote. So in order for us to make those changes to the board and to the bylaws and the declaration, we'd have to have massive campaigns. Am I against that? No. But do I believe that we can actually do that? I haven't seen it done, and from the people that are very qualified, and like I say, I know I was on the events committee when Russ Martin was the president, and he made an appeal to the community at the high school down there and tried to talk about what do we want to do with this club. So I do think that the club can be profitable if we handle our responsibilities correctly and we make sure that we are watching everything that goes on. We need to improve this club. Has not been improved since it was built. And once, if you don't know anything about construction, let me tell you, once you start tearing stuff down, you have to be inspected by the city, and then you have to meet ADA codes. And if you don't meet ADA codes, which is the Disabilities Act, then you've got the federal government finding you, you've got lawsuits waiting to happen, and those things would cost us an awful lot of money. So the money that's being put into this club is money that was neglected for over 20, 30 years. So I do agree.
I could think I'm not delusional, but this place has been through multiple other owners that they've lost the place. They went out of business, families, organizations. It hasn't been successfully done yet. Numbers don't lie. So, if you vote for me, I promise you I'll dig into the numbers, find out where this place is making money. I think that there were points in time where it made money, and it being shut down the last almost 11 months because of a small electrical fire definitely didn't help it become profitable at all. And every single day we're down the millions of dollars that's out right now we're paying interest on. So time's of the essence. If you vote for me, I promise I'll dig into the numbers and I'll find out if it can be profitable. And if it can be profitable, I'll push for that. If it can't be, I'll let you know. And I'll be the first one to say, hey, this can't be profitable. We're putting money into a sinking ship.
Just one 10-second comment.
No, you had Mike, you've had your mic.
Okay, Bruce, we're gonna have you speak in just like 10 seconds. Give me a second. You can go, Bruce.
Okay, sorry for the delay. Quick story. There was a Spanish conquistador named Hernan Cortez that landed on the shores of what's now Veracruz, Mexico. And upon landing, he ordered his men to burn the ships. They were about to do battle with the Incas. And the reason that he did this was to take retreat off the table. It was either victory or death for the Spanish invaders. We had assets in Chandlers of about $2 million in 2015. When Scott, Self, and I were elected in 2017, we were the first of this current group to be elected. We'd added about $3 million to the pot, taking our assets to somewhere around $5 million. That's what this board has picked up. There is no retreat. We were too heavily invested to do anything but go on. Our sense of victory is the vision that I've already shared with you, and we're all in to make that happen. And that's where we are.
State your name and hey, Rex.
Rex Dwyer. I live at 6101 Volunteer. My question is not specifically as to an issue today, but how are you going to evaluate issues? And so I'd like to know, within the last 10 years, have you or a company that you own gone into bankruptcy? Have you, in the last 10 years, been convicted of a crime? Have you, in the last 10 years, been treated for alcohol or drug abuse? Or have you, in the last 10 years, seen a psychiatrist or a psychologist other than for marital counseling or the loss, the death of someone?
No, 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 and no.
No. I own 2 businesses. Times are tough, and when times get tough, I mean, you got to get in the trenches and you've got to work. You know, there's been many times where I'm down in the trench working with a guy, and you know, what I'm getting at is I do what it takes to get things done, but to answer all those other questions, no.
I can answer, I think, on behalf of Bruce, and the answer is no to all those questions. Next question. Any other questions? Yeah. Anything here? Come on up.
Hello, Stacy Dyer, 228 Sovereign Court. I think that my interest is your past experience, not only in your own business, but here in this community. Before you ask us to vote for you to govern us, I would like to hear your experience with us as a community. So if you will give us, I know some of you have, and maybe you can go into greater detail, but if you'll give us your experience with your volunteerism here in this community.
I have not volunteered in this community. Thank you.
I'm just going to let you know, like I've said before, I was on the events committee for 3 years. I served on the ponds with the ponds committee with Kid Fish every year. I have had a booth at the Taste of Chandlers for the last 2 years for the fireworks fundraiser. I have been the founding member of one of the Chandlers Ladies Bunko group. I started the Chandlers Landing Kids Krew. We do trunk or treat, breakfast with Santa, Valentine cards for nursing home, Easter egg hunts, the kids games at National Night Out. I also am a member of the Welcome Committee and the Chandlers Cares Committee. So in 5 years, that's what I've been doing in Chandlers.
I walk this community once, at least once, sometimes twice a day, and I'm always keeping an eye out for things like deficiencies in some of the amenities, the parks, the streets, all that kind of thing. On the Ponds Committee, I help out with Kid Fish. I regularly walk the ponds to pick up trash. I keep an eye on the temperature and the status of the ponds as far as fish. And on the communications committee, I worked on the newsletter, which at this point is on hiatus due to COVID and due to the inability to really distribute it. And that's pretty much it at this point. It's a great community, the best I've ever lived in.
What?
Go.
I'll go, Bruce Paton. I am a director emeritus with Rockwall Helping Hands. I've been on the board for 25 years. I served as on the Rockwall Housing Authority for 8 years, 5 years as president. I've been a PTA member. I've coached YMCA sports when my kids were growing up. And I established a charitable foundation 25 years ago, and I'm responsible for more than $100,000 going to Helping Hands, which is the local charitable organization that I really am committed to. So those would be some of my activities in the community.
reviewed the budget. I think the 400,000 we're spending for security, we need to find out why we're still having cars being broken into. People are still coming into the marina. I'd like to see some privatization, what Scottsdale started down at the marina, speaking with them, seeing if we can make it only available to Chandlers Marina boat slip holders and not open to the public anymore. I find like that's a way that people are just coming into the community. I see them walking in every night, parking their car down at the marina and walking down here to the beach. I know at one time we also, our security worked in conjunction with the Chandlers Marina Security, and we would stop people down at the beach and just ask if they're residents or not. I think that's important. That's a primary place where our children are playing, and that's very important to our neighborhood. And there's some other areas of the budget I'd like to delve into, but since I've not been privy to all the expenses on there and what exactly, therefore, I agree that the budget is in order, and that's what I have to say about it.
I think like all things, the budget's always, I mean, everybody's budget, even our home budget, has some things that we could retool. But being a resident, just like you guys, and not being on the board, you only get the cursor view of what's going on as far as with the budget, because you don't have the time or the person to ask all the questions to. I do agree with Kenyon about the security. We need to make sure that our dollars that are going to security are actually going to security, because we are finding more problems that are cropping up in the neighborhood. We've had the police out there several times. We've had things stolen, cars broken into, and so I do think we need to take a look at that. But for the most part, I think that any budget can be retooled or re-looked at, and we can always be more fiscally responsible.
I also have not done a deep dive on the budget, but just as far as walking around and observing, I think there's some issues with the ponds that at some point need to be taken care of. The spillway, for one, and the dam for another. And a lot of these things, if they were to fail, I'm not so sure that we would be able to rebuild them due to EPA and or city county regulations. Another thing that I think we need to focus on in the long term, huge long term project, is our streets. I think we all can see that our streets are starting to crumble. They're nearing the end of their lifespan. And I think at some point it's possible that the Yacht Club will be able to pay a little bit of the cost of that as it becomes more and more profitable. Thank you.
Lee has a question from, she's going to read from a text that we received from somebody on Zoom. Anyone close? Let's go ahead and come up here.
This is from Anna and Jason Potts at 320 Portview. To all candidates, how many HOA meetings have you attended in person or on Zoom since our last election 12 months ago? How many of you are up to speed on our budget?
I believe they've all been on Zoom. I have watched 6 of them, and I have the budget right here, and I reviewed every line of it. I did all my own payroll in my office for over 20 years. I paid my own taxes. I hired all the people, 10 employees in my office, did their payroll taxes, fought any litigations that we were involved in, and I feel very, would be very honored to be on this board and do those things too.
Since the election last September, I believe I missed 1 meeting on Zoom.
I've caught most of them on Zoom. However, I was ill for 2 years, basically going through treatments and stuff. So I wasn't physically here for some of the meetings, but I was on Zoom for, I would say 90% of them.
I think I've watched two or three of them on Zoom. Actually, yeah, it was three. I've watched three of them.
I can tell you Bruce has been at every one, either in person or via teleconference. Any other questions for anyone here?
I have one.
Okay.
I'm Dave Mallon, 407 Columbia. I want to thank the board for all that they've done this past year. They've worked countless hours, I'm certain of it. I want to thank all of you fine people for wanting to be on the board. And my question is, do you understand how much time and dedication it's going to take? And you don't have, it's a rhetorical question, but I urge you and would like to have your commitment that you haven't already, that you'll really talk to the existing board members. With the addition of this facility, and as we pointed out, the roads and some of the drainage issues, we've really spent a lot of time. The board has spent countless hours, and I think it's really important that you have the time to do the job and the willingness to not see your kids and grandkids for most of the time. But you ought to respond to that. I'd like to have it, but I hope you will do and understand how important that time is.
I can make a total commitment to do whatever it takes.
I am also familiar with the commitment it takes to run an organization like this, to run a community like this, and I'm all in.
First of all, I'm retired, so I have plenty of time to do lots of things. And I'm totally committed. I do want to thank David for that, and Russ too, because they were on the board when it started with this club, and they do know how hard and how many hours and how many answers and questions and things that they have to do. But I'm totally committed to putting my efforts into it.
I think the day that I decided to run and turned in my nomination, I was warned immediately. It's like 20 to 30 hours worth of work a week. So it's been marinating for a while, and been wrapping my head around it now for a few weeks, and I'm on board.
I think I can answer for Bruce. He's on board. He's puts in a gazillion hours. So. I think we have Randy. You have a question or comment?
Well, I have more of a statement. Randy Lancaster, I live at 321 Harbor Landing. Been on this board a year. I served on the EC for 7 years, and it did not prepare me for what the board requires. Somebody had a question about if you had bankruptcies or seen a doctor. Well, I just filled out a TABC form. It was about as close to a virtual colonoscopy as you can get, I would imagine. They'll find it. If you have anything in your background, they're going to find it. But I feel like everybody here is qualified. I look forward to working with whoever's fortunate or unfortunate enough to be elected. Retired is good. Chip thought he was retired, and he's probably wishing he was back to work after the hours he's put into this facility. Same with Bruce. He's tireless. He's constantly driving this neighborhood looking for compliance issues. And part of his good work has led to 304 Shamrock, first house in Rockwall history to be demolished because of the insistence of the neighborhood. It's a huge thing. It says a lot for this community and the board that's serving you right now, and I look forward to whoever gets picked. Thanks.
Kevin, do you see any questions? Any other questions from anyone here? If not, going once, twice, anyone have anything? Not, well, we thank you for your time tonight and your indulgence of the hot conditions or warm conditions. Could be worse, I guess. So look forward to seeing you at the annual meeting. Thank you.